Welcome back to the Merdeka Award Roundtable. One area singled out in the Global Competitiveness Index was that Malaysia needs to work on its technological readiness and innovation. ICT is, of course, a huge enabler in any quest to boost productivity and growth. So, gentlemen, I'm going to move the discussion a little bit here to where we didn't fare so well in terms of measurement. And in fact, it was quite miserable compared to our other achievements on this scale. I tread here with caution because I don't want to give the impression that we're technologically, in the dark ages, but it doesn't seem that we are quite ready to quickly adopt all the technology that's out here, that's available. What do you think?
It's actually a bit surprising. On the one hand, because I did see the results on number 44, but at the same time, you look at, for example, the use of new social media by the population at large in Malaysia is one of the highest in the region.
And our financial services is rated very high. You can't do financial services without technological readiness. So where do you think this anomaly, if it is one, might come from? Is it perhaps a reflection of a digital divide that we have between urban and rural?
I think we looked at some numbers. We have more than 1,000 over intellectual property registered by Malaysia. It's a very thick document. And the problem is commercializing that. How do you move it from an intellectual property, the application of the technology, into something that you can commercialize, to monetize? That is our problem now. So we ran a lab to take a look at all that 1,000. We analyzed all the 1,000, what was registered by all our institutions, our research companies. We found that at least 300 of them are ready to be commercialized. Unfortunately, the private sector don't even know they exist.
And why? So, and why?
Because there is a big silo between the private sector and our universities, the institution. The language to bridge the two was not happening. So the Prime Minister set up a unit called Agency Innovation Malaysia. In fact, today we have announced in the Star today that we are now ready to bid out those intellectual property to the private sector who can come out and put the best bid. They will take those ideas and commercialize them.
So these are technological innovations.
For example, I give an example. I think it's UKM had come out with a genome project that will be able to make chili padi all ripen at the same time. So if you can do that, that's tremendous opportunity.
Hot stuff.
To do it faster and at the same time predictability. Now, there are hundreds of those in the ideas, and we have a medical kit that will diagnose tropical diseases without going to the lab. But there are many of those things now. So already there are a lot of ideas that are coming out in the universities, but we have to find a way in which we will get the private sector to connect with them and to make that run in a way that will cause us to move in that path. So I think two things need to happen. First of all, that conversation needs to take place.
You need a matchmaker.
And matchmaker, that's what we're trying to do. And in fact, in today's newspaper, we're asking people to now make the bids to start commercial. The second thing that needs doing is, when they love it, then they will fund more research. More work to be done that technologically inclined. And I think that will be
Do we spend enough money on research in this country? Should we be spending more money on research?
We will spend the money.
We will.
Because you know what will happen is that if you create the early wins that is coming out from the ones who've already had for a long while, people then make money, then the people will say, wow, it is okay for me to invest money, the private sector. Let me identify the area that needs to be worked on. Then the universities will do it, because today a lot of the universities are doing their research the way they want to do it, not quite what the private sector wants. So if you match the need, the supply and the demand together, then I think we'll get, if you like, the ecosystem for innovation to flourish.
And I just pick up on this. I think the important thing is also to, again, focus. There is a lot of innovation, there is a lot of research happening. You want to focus that in areas where you are going to be one of the world's leaders. Right? Technology matters. There's no doubt about this. If you want to get to the last oil, right, 2 kilometers below the sea surface. Technology matters. And it matters in all of these sectors. So this is where the idea, again, of focusing on the sectors where you want to be world champions. And then that's where you funnel the investments. That's where you spur the private sector to really...
But you also, then following on that, given what we've just discussed about human capital, you want to introduce this idea of being open and ready for technology and embracing it at a very young age. Now, this is my technological sort of readiness. This is my iPad, and in yesterday's paper in the Star, there is a photograph of you, looking very vigorous. But you're essentially advocating that people read,
absolutely,
and that people read in English as well to learn the language. You're really advocating learning as a way of life, and I think when you learn, then you are more open to changes.
Absolutely.
So, you know, is this something? The other thing that it links with this is: do we teach perhaps enough in our schools, not just how to operate a computer, but how to use technology to make things, design technology?
Let me say what I said to the class when I was there. I told them I was born in a village called Barrio, right in the heart of Sarawak, next to the Kalimantan border. My tribe's only 5,000 people. And when I was a kid, the nearest town from Barrio was Marudi, and it used to take us 2 weeks to walk there. 1 week by boat, another week walking in the jungle. Now, in those days, the only way I could get to see what was outside beyond the mountains was to read books. So even though we were trapped in the village, if I read books, I could know what was happening in America. So I was challenging the kids in Form 4 in Klang. If you read 1 book a month, to now at the end of the year, and we do a competition, who read the most number of books amongst all of you, I will give you a present. And 1,000 ringgit, and the number 2, 500 ringgit, and number 3, 350 ringgit. Then I will take all of your families to have dinner at the Malaysian Petroleum Club. My point was, it's about worldview. Malaysians ought to have a much wider view. Cannot just be looking at Klang. Cannot just be looking at just Barrio. You need to have a worldview, be able to look beyond the shores of Malaysia. That's how we can then begin to succeed as a nation, really.
But that's one part of the equation. The other part, I think, is really not being afraid of technology. And I think the government, you know, do you feel that more can be done to bridge any divide?
The divide.
There are still communities like yours that exist in this country. Where are their computers? Where is their access to technology? Where will they grow? Do they get left behind if we don't target them?
There is a big project that we are launching today. I mean, that project works like this. We're now asking the telco companies, and we've been talking about it for a while now, to connect and put broadband connection to each of the schools in Malaysia. So we bring the broadband to the school, and from the schools, you can then Wi-Fi that area. So if you like, it's the starburst idea. When you start doing that, what it means is then we can then replicate all the teaching methods of the best teachers who are in the urban school can then be applied.
You can get Kenneth.
You can get Kenneth also. So we can apply them. And so we are now following. We have now done this pilot. They call it One Bistari Net, and we are copying using the UK model, the software called Frog, F-O-R-O-G. And we're trying to use this so that we can then put it through the system. That's how you break the divide between rural and urban. I'm of the view that we will get out from poverty through education.
We're going to take one more quick break. Sorry. Coming up, some thoughts from our panel as we look at where we as Malaysians and as a nation will go to from here. You're watching the Merdeka Award Roundtable.